Sorry guys, I don't know. I think that we have a little bit storm going on outside, so the connection is like kind of weak here. I'm hoping that we will not have that issue anymore because I just swapped to my data plan instead of the Wi-Fi. I thought that was the only way we could continue. Um, and I'm just bringing Shireen Auntie back in the conversation, and we will continue from where we left off. She was talking about culture, so I'm just trying to bring her back in. I think due to some storm going outside, we're having some Wi-Fi technical issues, but I have swapped to my 4G and hoping that we'll be fine. I'm just waiting for Shireen Auntie to connect again, and we will take it from there. There she is, guys. Alrighty, let's bring her in. Yes, she's back.
I don't know, I seem to have lost you.
Yes, the connection just went off. I'm sorry for that.
All right. So, I think you need to pick up the thread again.
Yes, so we were talking about cultural issues and how we need to address cultural issues where we're just talking about problems but not talking about, we're not moving towards working on solutions.
Solutions are not easy because you are actually fighting a culture, right? So, the solution is very
Right.
easy to say, oh, let's empower women. But are they able to remain empowered within their community? That is the question. Will the community allow them to be
Right.
empowered? That is the issue. You can start a lot of programs and a lot of I mean things that the girls could do, but will that community allow them to become empowered and to remain empowered? And sometimes I feel it's like you're showing them a picture which is not plausible for them. You understand? Because
Right.
they will
Right.
never have access and opportunity like we have had, because just by virtue of being born where we are, you know so it won't be easy for them. They can't just say, well, I'm going to do this, because it will not work that way. So I think it's really baby steps, and it's, as I said, it's a global issue. It's a global issue.
Yes. Right. Right.
Until
Right. So
50 years or 60 years ago.
Shirin Auntie, I can't really hear you. Can you hear me? Guys, if you can hear Shirin Auntie, please write in the comment below because I cannot hear her. Um, you can't hear me either. Can't hear Shirin. Can you hear me, guys? Could you comment below who you cannot hear? Okay, you can't hear her. Okay, but you can hear me. Can't hear you. Oh, she can't even hear me. Um, she's trying to figure out something. Guys, just give her a few minutes. I cannot hear her, and I don't know if she put it on mute. Maybe need to unmute it, Shirin Auntie. Yes, that's what I thought. Seems like nobody can hear us. Guys, can you not hear me? Sorry, can hear Mavish. Okay, you can hear me. Cannot hear Shireen. Okay, guys, let's give her a few seconds. If it doesn't work, we can just reconnect with her. Sometimes, we are having a storm, a really bad storm here. So I think something's just going on with the Wi-Fi, just in general. So let's just see how that goes. I cannot hear her, guys. I'm going to take her out and I'm going to bring her back in the conversation. Maybe that will just kind of help. Go. There we go. Now let's bring her back in. It's a lovely storm, but there we go. Let's see.
Hello, Mavish.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Okay. G.
So you were talking, Shirin Auntie, you were talking about that. We can talk about women empowerment and we can talk about all these things, but really, would that the society be able to give them all that?
Because empowerment is very relative. Every single community will have a separate level of empowerment, which they will allow. You see, there are lots of girls who are now studying and in positions of, responsibility and working in the field, in all fields, shoulder to shoulder with men. But if you look at the percentage, they are few and very far apart. There's not many of them. And the ones that need to realize that they have rights, that they can have a say in things, are the women that live in our rural areas, the women that live in communities which are removed from the cities and the metropolis, and where all these things seem to be accepted and are the norm. But again, there are
Right.
not very many women who have those that.
Hello, guys, welcome back. I am so sorry due to a heavy storm that has just come in an hour ago, and now it's just getting really hard. We are having some technical issues. I am so sorry. I'm going to try to connect with Shireen Auntie once again. I am sorry for today. Things happen, guys, which are not in our control, so we got to take it as it comes. I was really enjoying my conversation with her, where she's giving different dynamics of societal issues, and even with solutions, it still can be an issue how we're gonna go further ahead. And let's just hope that this one works. Just trying to reconnect with her. I think that she has a very, very valid point, that while we are giving our women a channel to talk about women empowerment, and she's in the house. Do you think that we're being realistic? That was her take on it, and it makes sense, because really we have to see how we're going to empower women at our societal structure, and what we can really give to our women, uh, knowing all those dynamics. Shirin Auntie, are you back in the house?
Yes, I'm back.
All right.
Gigi.
So Shirin Auntie, I really see. I never thought it like you just brought up, and I think that's a very valid question that we all women need to ask in our society. That yes, it's good that we're talking about women empowerment and stuff, but are we really being realistic? That if we're talking about it, are we going to be able to provide it to our women, keeping the society and the structure of our culture?
That's true. Um, Woodruff said women in the villages, in the rural areas, are more empowered. I think there's a difference between being in control and being empowered, right? They may be
Right.
in control in their particular village or in their homes because of various reasons. Maybe their husbands have migrated to the cities to work, therefore, they are left to look after the families and the older people and the children. Yes, they are in control of that situation at that moment in time. But I don't think that they can make any major decisions which would be equated as empowerment unless they had the go ahead from the males in the family or in their village or in their community, you know?
Right.
So they would be in control of certain things, okay, because of
Right.
because of the need of the hour, okay. But I don't think that they would be empowered to just walk away, take their children, and say, okay, I'm fully empowered. I'm going to leave the village. I'm going to do this, 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 this. It's not going to happen. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes, definitely. Yes. Yes.
And
That makes so much
and
sense.
there's a comment, and you're absolutely right. The women work more, and even in the cities. All right. However, the men have that trophy position in everybody's home. Okay. So no matter how much the women work, they are never given that position. They never said, oh, you've done a great job. Oh, you've been the, life and soul behind this project. You've the one who's enabled us. Everyone will end up taking the credit and the women won't get anything. Right? The thing here is not about being a feminist. The thing here is about saying, I am equal to everyone. Okay? I'm equal. I have a capacity to do things. Let me have a chance. Let me do something that is purely for myself. Right? That is
Right.
something that
Definitely.
seldom happens. Right?
Right. 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 Shirin Auntie, having said that, don't you feel that women a few decades ago were struggling with a lot of things which women nowadays have the liberty to enjoy or the privilege to uh, 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 privilege to enjoy those rights?
Um, like what, for example? My mother used to drive.
Just
My mother used to drive from Lahore to Kabul, and that was 50 years ago. No issue. We always
okay.
drove cars all our lives. No issue. You understand? What are the privileges that they
Okay.
are enjoying now? What privileges are you thinking of? What do you think they are?
Well, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to compare to the liberty my grandmother had and the liberty I've had. I think that there's been a drastic change to that, where I've had more liberty towards having a sense of control over my life than the liberty my grandmother had.
Do you really think so?
I think so in a way, because I feel my grandmother was just conformed in the four walls and she couldn't get out. She couldn't do things that for me, I could just talk from my personal experience more and my surrounding, that we have been able to do a lot more than what our grandmothers were allowed to do of that time. And I can be wrong.
It depends on how you define liberty. What is liberty?
Well,
Liberty.
as far as education was concerned, as far as our dressing was concerned, I think there has been a sense of a little bit more liberty in 2020 than it was back in what I mean,
The
70s or
liberties,
60s.
the liberties you're discussing are the liberties that are given to you by the social setup you live in, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
every liberty is not a freedom, right? There's a difference between liberty and freedom, okay?
Right.
Freedom means
True.
I can think for myself. Okay? Liberty means I can get in the car and I can drive and go out and come back on my own. Do you understand?
Okay.
But freedom is being able to express yourself, being able to say what you want to say, being able to call a spade, even stand up to the men in your life. Okay? That is freedom.
True.
It's not liberty. Right?
Okay. I hear you.
You don't
Right.
have to, you don't have to be, you don't, if you wear a hijab, okay, you might, that
Okay.
girl might be freer than the ones who are not wearing it. You understand?
Okay.
It's about the thought processes. It's about the upbringing they've had. It's about how much were they given the freedom to think for themselves. Okay? So liberty and
Okay.
freedom are two separate things, right?
Okay.
You had
I
free.
understand that.
If women had actual freedom, the first time a man lifted a hand on them, which is usually their husband, they would say, "Okay, guy, I'm leaving. See you around." Okay? They don't have freedom. Yes, they have the liberty to get in the car, go to their mother's house, cry on their shoulder, and then possibly the mother will say, "All right, now go back. It's okay. Things will settle down." Right?
Right.
Those are, that's the difference.
Yes, yes. I think that makes more sense. So, Shirin Auntie, having said all these things, uh, what is your take on then how keeping all these dynamics and all these things in front of us, how do you think we as women can empower our women of our society then?
You start with your own. You start with your own. You start with your daughters, start with your nieces, you start with your dear friends, their children. You encourage them to be their own people, right? I'll tell you, for example, that in the last 10 years, there have been quite a lot of marriages of my cousins' daughters and friends' daughters and whatever. And I have always insisted that they must have the right of divorce in their nikah. All right? Because
Right.
that is a freedom of choice that they can make without being tied down by all the other laws that exist. Right? And to
Right.
my very pleasant surprise, whenever you see, because these topics are never discussed, whenever this was put to the boys' family, those people never said no. Okay? Which means that they also had a progressive thought process. Having a right of divorce does not mean that you are going to get a divorce, right? It
Exactly.
means you will not be bound in the event that something happens in your marriage. You will not be bound by years and years of litigation, having to let go of your children and all those issues. Okay? So that is a freedom which has been given to these girls, according to me, right? That is a
Right.
freedom
Definitely.
for them to exercise that freedom if ever the time comes, and I hope it never comes. Okay? But we never know.
True. Definitely.
Yes,
Definitely
Khula
that
is
makes
there.
sense.
I have a comment from on your shelf. Khula is there. However, Khula May, you actually, the woman gives up everything. She gives up the right to her children. She gives up the right to her hakmar. She gives up the right to everything if she goes for a khula. And the khula is then in an open kacheri, right? Whereas the
Right.
right of divorce functions exactly like a man's right of divorce, right? To be in your nikana.
Right.
Okay?
Yes. Yes.
And I feel that
Yes.
nobody, I'm not talking about just the women, I feel that nobody should be forced to stay in a marriage or in a union where they are supremely unhappy. Both people don't want to be in that union. Okay?
it is, even in the Holy Book, it's written that
Yes.
divorce is not looked upon favorably. But if two people cannot coexist, it is better for them to be apart. Right? So the thing is, this is a freedom. I consider this a freedom. When a woman doesn't have to go into court and listen to all the lawyers saying, oh, but unhone ye kiya, unhone wo kiya, and all that. Nothing. It's behind the parda. The parda. Okay? So the thing is that there are lots of issues. And I'm looking at Miss Woodruff. It's not a stigma to give a right of divorce. I think it is only the right of a woman to have a freedom of choice, because many times she does not have freedom of choice when she's getting married. Right? Even in the so-called liberal homes, okay? The girls are not given a freedom of choice when they're getting married. They are told, well, this is a good guy, this is the right guy, you need to be married, abhi time hai, bacche karne. So the girls go into marriages, many of them never even having gotten to know anyone. Okay? And it's not fair.
Right.
Let them at least have the freedom to get out of it. If the time comes and if there is a problem. Okay? Without, and I don't think there's any stigma, because it is said in our religion also that if for any reason you do not like the man that you are married to, okay, you can move away.
Yes.
So these are all the things which are there, but they're not practiced because our society doesn't like them. The culture doesn't like them. If we were to practice all the things that were given in our religion, there would be very few problems. You know what I mean? Because women were greatly empowered at the time of the Prophet. His own wife was a businesswoman. Okay? So
Yes.
what stigma can be attached to that? Nothing. So, I mean, the thing is to make sure, I think anyone that has daughters, okay, they should make sure that to whatever extent it is possible for the parents to protect them when they move on in their life, whether they move on for work or for education or to get married or to whatever, they should have the backing and the protection of their family. Okay? Because in many homes to date, and I'm sure that the girls who are now on listening to this, अभी तक कहा जाता है कि अब तुम्हारी शादी होगी, अब वहां से जनाजा उठेगा. ठीक है? It's not a joke. Right? There is no coming back. Don't come back. You're married, stay in your in-laws. This is it. This is your lot. Okay? So I think it's not fair on many women and on many girls to be married to someone they have never seen or don't know, and then they also have no freedom to do anything about it. Right? So this is what I feel.
Right.
And I would want this for my daughter, for all the daughters.
I totally agree with what you're saying, Shireen Auntie, and I would like to add with all that you said is that I think that our culture is more influenced by Hindu culture than actually looking into what Islam really talks about. Because I totally agree, and I have taken so many fatwas on women having the right to divorce and not that frowned on as it is the culture that is made it so horrible for women. And further going into this, I have spoken to women whose roots are from Pakistan, but they're either living in Australia or America or UK, and they DM me saying and it's shocking and it's mind-boggling for me, because they say, oh, you know, I've been in abusive marriage for 27 years. You are in a country where you have rights. I'm in abusive marriage for 27 years. Can you ask, or can you get a fatwa, like, can I get a divorce because now he's abusing my kids? Like, I'm just trying to understand that woman, that how is she conditioned, how was she conditioned while she was being brought up, that even being in a society where women have so many rights, she's still coming to me and asking me to get a fatwa from a scholar in your country, in our country, that is it okay, is it legal, will God be angry with me? And I'm just shocked that, you know, where are you going with this? You got technology, you got social media, you could search that up. And she says, oh yeah, I do search up, but still I need somebody to give me a proper fatwa. And I am just left in awe that what are we doing? And like you said, I know women who are already living in our society who have reached out to me once again, and they say, you know, my husband beats me. My husband beats me brutally, but there is no turning back. I cannot turn back because I won't be welcome. So I'm like, what do you want from me then? Because
But
you've
that's
already made the decision that there is no turning back.
that's the truth. They're not welcome back, right? And it is very
Gee.
difficult to swim against the stream when you have no backing. Okay? It's very easy
Right.
to make decisions when you have your parents, when you have your brothers who are, you know, um, uh, they they see what's happening, they are sensitive, and they understand what's wrong. But when your own family doesn't give you any support, then there's no going back. So the conditioning from day one is, okay, look, this is the deal, this is how you're going to walk the line, and this is how it's going to carry on. Okay? So that's the thing.
Gee.
Yes, from birth they are conditioned. This is a women's role, this is a woman's job, this is, you know, it's not a man's area, it's not his responsibility to do this or that or the other. They're conditioned that way. Yes, and that's how they carry
Yes.
on. Very difficult to change
Definitely.
that.
Right, right. And I know that women, even in our society nowadays, there is another issue that they face is when a woman is finally taken a step to divorce, the questions are thrown at her like, oh, why did you wait so long? Or why did you wait for your kids to get married? Or if he was so bad, why didn't you leave him? Or why did you have so many kids with him? I really wanted to add on to people who ask such questions is that, do you really put yourself in that woman's shoes and see that if she has come so far, maybe she was trying, maybe she had hope that her man would change, and when she is done, I think a woman, when she says that I want a divorce, she has practiced and done everything in her capacity to make the marriage work. I don't think women just, rarely I would think women would just snap and say, oh, that's, I just want a divorce. I think they go to every extreme to make the marriage work. And when they see, okay, either my sanity is at risk or this man is not going to change, I want to, you know, take a divorce. And I see so many challenges even in 2020 that women are facing, because now they have made a step, if they've taken a step, and now they're being questioned, oh, then why did you wait so long, or why did you have so many kids, or why did this? I mean, it's just really frustrating, because I feel no matter what she's going to say, like I said before, there's the conditioning is done in such a way that the barrier is, it's really hard to break.
Yes, because the word talaq is a dirty word, you know.
Exactly.
Talaq,
Yeah.
oof, talaq. Okay. So until we learn to accept that every relationship has its ups and downs, sometimes the downs become so bad that people want to get out. So talaq is not a stigma, right? It is the stigma of talaq, the thought concept behind it is a social construct. It's a social construct. Okay? People are
Right.
told, "Hey, तलाक हो गई भाई, तलाक हो गई भाई, क्या हुआ, तलाक हो गई है, it's not the
Exactly.
end of the world, okay?
Exactly.
But the stigma is attached to talaq is a social construct, right? And many women find it very hard to pick up and move on and to, you know, sort of face whatever is in front of them because of that. Oof, talaq, oh, talaq ho gayi, oh my god, pata nahi kisne kya. The presumption is always, what did she do to get a divorce, you know?
Exactly.
No,
Exactly.
says, what did he do that she wanted a divorce, you know? So, you know, there's two sides to every story. There's two sides and two kinds of problems that need to be faced. But I think in lots of cases, the one side of the story faces the problems and the other side doesn't even seem to think that there's a problem, you know? और कहते कि वो तो पागल हो गए, की चीज है, कुछ भी नहीं है, you know? की होया जे चार थप्पड़ खा दे, कोई बात नहीं. You know what I mean? This is the
Yes,
attitude.
yes, I totally understand.
This is the attitude. So these things have to stop. These social construct, the socially accepted behaviors and socially condoned behaviors need to change. Okay,
Exactly.
and
Well,
realize
yeah.
women are human beings. They have feelings, they have needs, they have dreams. Okay, everybody has a dream. Okay, and everybody should be allowed to dream. The dream could be anything, but everything is valid, you know? Everything is valid. It's okay, not a big issue. So until the society is reorganized, you know, the way things are, I'm talking the world over, okay? The world over.
Yes.
So it needs to be organized, reorganized. Okay? I think the difference is that now girls are less willing to put up with these things. Until the last generation, people said, oh, this is our lot. Ye to hamare saath yahi hona hai. Nothing is going to change. Yes, it's true. You know?
Yes, yes, I agree with you. Yes, yes.
And also, I think because there were so many, and there always are in our society, so many marriages within the families, then if there are divorces, the families get torn apart, and and you know, all these issues. So they also are not conducive for a mindset change, you know, because to change that mindset, then you would have to be, you know, able to say no to cousin marriages, no to vata, no to all these, right? But they are
Right,
being
definitely.
practiced happily, flourishing in our country. Okay? I mean, if you tell someone abroad that you are married to your cousin and that 5 generations of your parents were all cousins, they'll think, excuse me, there's something definitely wrong with you people. Okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay? So, I mean, these are all things to, I don't know, you know, it's very difficult.
It is,
So,
and it's a very broad subject, and we
it's
have
a very
we're
broad
really
subject,
short.
you
Yes,
know.
we're really short on time. Shirin auntie, I in this short time I've learned so much from you. It's
I hope
always
so.
a pleasure sitting with you, and once this COVID gets easy, I want to meet you in person and learn so much from you. Just we wrap up. Would you like to
Yeah.
say anything to women out there?
I don't want to say anything to women. I want to say something to everyone. Okay?
Please.
Everyone is here to coexist, to try and achieve some level of happiness in their lives, some level of contentment, right? And we should avoid making people miserable, the people that we love, the people we are connected to, the people we are married to. We should try and avoid to do those things. But this works for everybody. It's not about the women. It's about everybody.
Definitely.
You know, be more open, I think, be more forgiving, be more understanding. Everyone, men, women, children, all the genders. I mean, the gender is not the issue. It's how people should be behaving towards each other.
Right. Thank you so much, Shirin Auntie, once again for coming on board and sharing your knowledge and enhancing our knowledge. Take care and stay blessed.
Will do. Will do. And you'll take lots of care, and thank you for having me, Mavish. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
The office. The office.
Okay, guys, that was a brilliant wrap up with Shirin Auntie. I got to learn many new aspects and new dynamics to approach women empowerment in our society, and I think that she concluded very positively that the message needs to go to everybody. Coexist, uh, share love, be kind, show compassion, be empathetic. We're in this together, and yeah, that's it. Take care of yourselves. Those who are in any sort of abusive relationship, please reach out. Remember, God is watching. He's with you. If nobody's there, God is with you always. And do not feel that you're in a hopeless situation. There is always a way. There was, there is, and there always will be a way for you all. On that note, I am going to say bye-bye. Take good care of yourself. Khuda Hafiz. Instagram conversations. Guys, I hope that my connection stays fine with my previous guest. I hope that this time everything goes out well. As you all know, that for this session, I have a woman coming in. She's a renowned woman of our society, a known figure of our society, and I feel honored to have her come on board and talk about issues in our society, her own journey since she runs her own business, what kind of issues she's had. So without any further delay, let me bring her on board and we can start from there. And how is everyone doing so far? Okay, let me just bring her on. So today's topic is women empowerment, and we will be talking about that from our society's perspective. She is here. Let's bring her on. Let me connect with her as we are just connecting. Assalamu alaikum, Shirin Auntie.
Assalamu alaikum. How are you, Mavish?
How about yourself?
All well, thank you.
Shirin Auntie, although done a little bit of your introduction, but I didn't think I did much justice to it. It's just for my audience. Do an intro of yourself, please.
Yes, well, my name is Shirin, and I am a businesswoman as well as an educationist and a lawyer. I teach law at a law college, and I'm also a pretty good cook, and I enjoy all the things that have to do with the home.
Right, guys, there she is. She's a overall
So that's
woman.
about
She's got
it.
it all. She's a lawyer. She runs her business. She loves to cook. What more can you want from a woman? So Shirin Auntie, let's just start talking about a little bit about your educational journey.
Well, yes, I got married when I was 18, so I had not completed my education. I just done my FA, and the year that my daughter did her O levels, I did my BA, And after that, I joined a law college and I did my law degree. And after that, a few years later, I did a master's in political science. And in 2005, I joined the university sociology department, and I've done my MPhil in sociology. I have not been able to complete my PhD because of various reasons. One of them being that I was traveling a lot because my daughter was, having children, and I was spending time in America with her. So that was one of the reasons. But I would love to do it at some point if I ever get the chance.
Wow, wow. Shireen Auntie, you just also mentioned that running a business. Let's start from there. What kind of struggles as a woman did you have in our society when came into the business world?
Well, to tell you the truth, because I sort of was known as a cook and I had been doing small things prior to my business. So I didn't really face any problems. And as you know, the workforce is largely male. I have a restaurant and catering business. And so the workforce is largely male. And so I never really faced any problems. But that also has to do with the age that you start your business at. If I had been starting this business at 18, it would have been different. But I was into my 40s when the business was started. So you get less resistance from the people that are connected with your work field when you are a bit older. I mean, this is my experience.
Okay. So Shireen Auntie, I wanted you to, I think, just the way you did your into the audience, I think you are a substantial woman who said that she's a woman of empowerment. Through life journey, how would you inspire women out there to take control over their life?
I need to say at this point that I was very lucky that my mother was a foreigner. My mother was Italian. Therefore, in our family, there has never been a gender issue. It didn't matter if you were a girl or if you were a boy. Nobody made any differences. So I think that gives you a bit of a head start because you've not grown up with a gender bias against you in your own family. Then as I grew into my life and obviously became older, and also of course had my own children, and therefore and because of what I had experienced in my home, there has never been a gender bias in my family. I have a daughter, I have a son, and no issue. I mean, it's not that my daughter was ever treated any less or given less of an opportunity to do something that she wanted to do. So I've never faced these issues. But of course, these issues exist in our society. And Mavish, I think these issues exist in all societies. Okay? There is a gender
True.
imbalance. Women are sort of looked upon as, second class citizens. But it's the world over. It's not just in Pakistan. The thing is that if you are
True.
lucky enough to be born in let's say, in a place where these things are not given importance, then it's your good luck. But as you know, I think 90% of the women, or maybe more of the women in our country, are not born with these kind of, you know, uh, uh, possibilities. They're not given this kind of possibilities. So it's, married as soon as you are ready to have children, and then you have 10 children, and and that's it. You really have no say in the matter. You have no say in the things like how big or how small your family should be. You have no say. I think women really have very little say as far as their own lives are concerned, right? And as far as decisions are concerned relating to them, they have very little say in the matter in a lot of countries in the world. It's not just here.
Yes, most definitely. Before I was talking to you, I was having a conversation with someone, and she's from UK, and we were just discuss facts. So I was talking about, she was talking about UK, and she was saying that you know, when you tell me, yes, I can see maybe your issues are slightly more on the higher side as women are concerned. This is a global issue. We suffer much being women even in the West. So everybody, people on your side of the world just don't really understand that they got their rights. It's not that easy for us. We struggle a lot, even being in West. And I got the same feedback from somebody in USA. Uh, there was a woman, and she said, you know, right, still weapons of abuse, whether it's physical abuse, whether it's psychological abuse, and they are put down as much as they are on your side of the world. The only difference that they could weigh is maybe just the law over there is a bit more strict, so men can't really get away. They avoid it, but if the law wasn't there, it would have been as bad as it is on our side of the world.
You see, yes, that's absolutely true. The very sad and ironic thing is that all religions preach that all humans are born equal. All right? So there is no discrimination at time of birth. It is the society that you are brought up in that eventually leads to the shaping of your entire life, right? So if you are not given opportunities to study, to have any kind of activity outside of the home, you go from being a daughter to being a mother, and then that's it. And that's what the life is, and it's not easy, right? And you will most often find that women who are abused, they're abused because the men in their lives are bullies and they are weak, and the only person that they can successfully hit out at is their wife or their mother or their sister. Okay, and this is not to exclude the older women from this circle, because it is the women who, in many cases, they condone this kind of behavior by their sons because actually they've been through it themselves. So they see nothing wrong with it, you know. So what if he's given her a few slaps? So what if he's making her life tough? We've lived with it all our lives. We've compromised. We never said anything. So you see, there are quite a number of forces that work against the female child, okay, from birth. And right now, obviously, we are born into a socioeconomic society. Let's say it's like a bubble, right, where we encourage and we don't mind having daughters, and if the sons are not born, it's not such a big great issue. But these are big issues for girls who live in villages, who don't have opportunities to have any uh, any uh, any kind of contact with really what is the outside world. So in many cases they don't know any better, because they are never allowed to acquire any kind of knowledge, even general knowledge, even common sense. They just keep on perpetuating exactly what has been happening before, because they don't know any better, you see.
Definitely, I totally agree with that. I call it a generational curse, where where you are basically not allowed to question that why am I doing this and why did it feel wrong. You don't even question that because you condition that this because that picture is in front of you, so you just think this is my conditioning, this is how I'm going to go out. And I see that, like you said yourself, that most of the issues in our society are because A, we live in a bubble, we don't want that bubble to burst. B, we know that there are issues and we can talk about them all day, but why aren't we coming on board for solutions? Why aren't we coming on board and seeing how we can as a society together stand against these cultural norms which have penetrated into our society, and even it's got nothing to do with our religion for that matter.
Yes, but you know that जो मिट्टी होती है ना, वो आपका कल्चर डिक्टेट करता है. आपकी जो मिट्टी होती है, so the land you live on is the land that dictates your culture, right? It dictates a lot of
Right,
things that
bilkul
are
sahi.
going on in your life, right? So the religion has given, Islam has given, and it has allowed them to actually be their own people, right? Their own person. But the society does not allow that.